Inducted with performances by George Clinton, the Wilson Sisters of Heart, and Teddy Swims, May 8th in LA. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CummonsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers must have been feeling some kind of way when they left town Thursday to fly to Houston for Game 6 Friday night. They packed enough clothes to last for a week. The plan was to fly to Oklahoma City after disposing of the Rockets and not think about returning to LA for a Game 7 on Sunday. The Lakers have been in OKC since Saturday morning to prepare for their Western Conference semifinal matchup with the defending NBA champions. Game 1 is Tuesday night. The extra prep time in OKC might be needed. OKC is already a 15.5-point favorite in Game 1, and they are well rested. OKC has been off since April 27th after sweeping Phoenix in the first round. The Lakers also need some extra time to figure out a game plan to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA averaged 33.7 points against Phoenix. This will be a major upgrade in competition for the Lakers in the next round. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Tears go and fall away, oh, may the last one burn into flames. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves.
Yes, indeed. And we're talking financial freedom right here. You need that kind of freedom, too. She's an award-winning education leader, a social entrepreneur, and an advocate for financial empowerment, dedicated to driving positive change in education and economic mobility. Dr. Paris Woods, good morning.
Good morning. So excited to be here, and Beyonce gives me so much energy. So
She does, and we need it, especially when it comes to these topics. You know, I think sometimes We like to give lip service to education and lip service to financial literacy. But when it comes to rolling up our sleeves and doing the work, we're not always energized around these issues.
Yeah, there's so much fear, so much shame, so much misinformation. So I'm glad we're now finally in a space where many states, including California, now have these financial literacy requirements. And so paving the way to have more honest conversations about money at an age where it really can make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think the age where it really can make a difference is key in that, isn't it?
I mean, I started writing because I made tons of mistakes. And I was a pretty smart kid. I was just listening to the interview of the judge, and I thought, future judge, there's so many of us who are doing well in school, right? We've ticked all the boxes and doing all the things we've been told to do. I was a straight A student. I got the full scholarship to Harvard, all of those things.
Wow.
Went to work in education, right? And so despite following all the rules, ended up making a ton of really costly financial mistakes because that was the thing that was missing in my education growing up.
Yeah, and, not to be making excuses, but a lot of us don't have that generational knowledge in our families, especially in Black families. It's not that people don't want to know or that we're idiots. It's just not that is not an advantage that we have.
That's right. Yeah. So many, and it's been systematically sort of limited our financial prospects and ability to pass along wealth. And so, for my mom, certainly she knew education was a ticket out of poverty. And so she sort of preached the gospel of doing well in school. And I followed her. And I think that was true. I mean, going to college did sort of bring me out of poverty almost immediately. You can imagine sort of making it to a campus where the lights are always on and the food is always full in the pantry, right? So impoverished conditions were no longer present. But in terms of sort of really breaking free and either being able to build wealth or the next stage is really being able to live a life of freedom, we didn't have those tools. And so a lot of the early mistakes that I made were ones where she was right by my side, signing up for student loans to go to graduate school, right by my side, getting that first car at the dealership, right? And so these were things we thought were good to do and only later realized how constraining those negative choices were.
And I'm assuming that is where your best-selling book, The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, comes from?
It is, yes. I went on a journey sort of learning how did everything go wrong and why did all those early books from the gurus not work? Because I was reading financial books as a kid, right? And trying to follow. I was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A friend's dad gave her Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She said, I don't want to read this, and I took it, right? So just really hungry for information and trying to follow the advice that we're given. And, what I can tell you in reality is that these things don't work. They're not as easy as folks paint them out to be. And so it took me sort of digging and finding some, I would say, pathways that are a little bit easier to follow, but certainly more reliable and create more peace, which I think at the end of the day, there are folks who are obsessed with money and who love the drama, right? Love watching stocks go up and down, love trying to, put in a bid on a property and all of this. And then there are people like me who I would much rather spend my time educating folks, singing, writing books, right? I'm more of an artist. I'm more of a giver. And I think the majority of people, this is what I'm coming to learn, the majority of people are more like me. We're not sort of obsessed with the ins and outs of the money game. And we just want money to support a lifestyle that we can enjoy and actually enjoy our lives.
Right. We want to have what we need so we don't have to think about it.
That's right. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of the folks who are front and center talking about money, that's not the personality, that's not the goal. And so the tools that they're giving us don't actually support this lifestyle of freedom that folks like me are after.
That's a really interesting point. Because, I didn't read those books as a little kid. I'm just imagining little Dr. Woods sitting up here reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad with a
planning my real estate portfolio at 18, 16, right? All of that, yeah.
But I read them later, when I started thinking, wow, I don't know anything about this. When I decided I was going to try to buy a house, I started forcing myself to read the business section of the paper and read all these books, Die Broke, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. And to be honest with you, I did feel a little bit more like a failure because I'm not going to do all that stuff. I knew better and I did get the house, but it just seemed like just like what you're saying, this has got to be my whole life now. I have to spend every waking hour thinking about money. Not going to do it.
It doesn't, and it's unfair. And see, this is the impact that I think a lot of this advice has, is that it creates even more shame. Right? And so most folks aren't going to be able to follow these pathways, and most folks aren't going to be able to feel successful, when the reality is that there's a very simple path to wealth. There are a couple of the books that I picked up sort of outlined a simpler path for folks who have other things they want to do besides becoming a finance professional. Right. And a lot of it has to do with sort of the behavioral economics. And this is like the big term, but how do we make it easy for us to do the things we know we want to do with our money? And how do we set some goals that are realistic but actually exciting? And then that gives us the motivation to actually follow through.
Okay. So when you say behavioral economics, what does that mean?
Automate, automate, automate. A lot of folks, for example, have a goal of saving. And most of us, when we set a savings goal, we say, okay, I'm going to wait, I'm going to pay my bills and see whatever's left over, and I'm going to save that. And that doesn't work. And automation is setting up your savings goal upfront. So to say, okay, I'm going to set a goal to save $100 a paycheck, and I'm going to go into my direct deposit, and I'm going to direct deposit that money before I ever see it into a savings account. And even better than that, that savings account is going to be at a bank, at a totally different bank from where I keep my regular checking.
That's where my savings account
That's
is.
What you gotta do.
Got to be all the way across town. So I don't even feel like going over there.
Yeah. So these are ways to trick ourselves. That's the way I like to think about it, into doing the things that we want to do. These are our goals. A lot of the folks talk about keeping a spreadsheet and tracking every single penny and getting your budget apps and things like that. And we know the average person isn't going to do it. I don't know about you, but I love spreadsheets at work. At home, I don't really use spreadsheets that often. Right. And so a simple hack we could use is using separate accounts for different goals. So I have that savings account at the different bank. I keep a separate account for my bills, and all my bill money is directly deposited there, and I only pay bills out of that account. And I keep a totally separate account for everyday spending, right? So I never accidentally spend my savings. I never accidentally spend my bill money. And that's the card that's in my wallet. So when I'm sort of day-to-day swiping, I'm only spending my spending money. And that doesn't require a spreadsheet, right? It just requires me setting up a system, some automations. How do I manage my wallet? What's in my Amazon wallet? Those types of things to make it easy to make good decisions and make it difficult to make the decisions we don't want to make.
Yeah, I remember reading one of those books that we're talking about where they said, get all your money in cash and then put it in different envelopes. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds a little like that. I mean, just except it's a bank account, which is a little less tempting to sort of fritter away.
So all of these things are totally accessible and things that the average person can do. I like different accounts, but you could do envelopes, right? Yeah. And so I think it all starts with setting some goals and setting an inspiring vision. And I think this is what folks have told me have been most unique about either the Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom or the Student's Guide to Financial Freedom, is that I actually include a chapter on dreaming and on coming up with a compelling vision for what you want your life to look like. And also it leverages like your talents and your skills. Like there's a lot of sort of thinking that we can do to design a life that is compelling. This is the life that I want to live. And then we can think about money as a tool to achieve that. So that money is no longer the goal, it's just the tool. And this life of financial freedom becomes the real destination.
That's an interesting way of framing it. Dr. Paris Woods is my guest. We're going to learn a lot. We already are. Well, at least I am. Let's do it. She is the author of The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom. And as she mentioned, also now you have the Student's Guide to Financial Freedom. I have a student in college right now, so I'm super excited about that one. 800-920-1580 if you've got a question. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And indeed, it is a great conversation. Dr. Paris Woods is here. I think we all need to get, they're both bestsellers, right?
Yeah.
Both of these books, but all of us could use a copy of The Student's Guide to Financial Freedom, The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom. So it sounds like we're back to basics, but we were speaking a little off the mic about, our ideas and our attitudes about money. Why is there so much shame? And I think this is particularly true for Black people. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump or other billionaires can go and declare bankruptcy 7 times and feel good about it, dodge taxes and feel great about it. That makes me smart. We would probably spend our whole life trying to pay off whatever that was and still feel guilty that we died before we got the last payment in. Why do we have so much shame? Why do we have such different attitudes about resources?
I mean, we're carrying so much historically, right? I wrote my dissertation on how we educate and prepare Black youth for the working world. And what I found was that there's this history that's sort of dragging down. It's informed by racism, but it shows up as respectability politics. It shows up as sort of what's acceptable. It shows up as concept of respect. And so we, as a community, are carrying all of that weight, and it has become self-imposed, right? So it's sort of within our community that we have these beliefs, and these are the conversations that we're having with each other. And so it's so hard to break out of that. And I think, I talk about beliefs come from what we see and what we hear. And so either through media, through the conversations with friends and family, through what we're reading, through what we're watching. So I'm proud of folks for tuning into this conversation today. And hopefully, I think a lot of my work in what I've written and in the conversations that I have is changing our mindsets about a lot of these topics.
How did you change your mindset?
I learned the hard way. And I am grateful that my mother was a minister. And so we grew up sort of in a faith-filled environment where even if you can't see it, the thing that feels impossible, like the Harvard thing, right? For us, that might have been Hogwarts. And, We don't know anyone who went to college. I'm the first to go.
Wow.
To believe that it's possible. And so I think that foundation set me up to say, okay, even if it's not directly in my line of sight, it could still be possible. And then, she said when I was younger, she made a lot of mistakes growing up. And the one thing she would tell me is don't repeat those same mistakes. Go make your own new mistakes, right? Go make fresh mistakes. And so it gave me, I think, this confidence to sort of go out and try things. Maybe I didn't have the family background or didn't have the community around me with the knowledge, but I'm going to try it anyway and see. And so I made a lot of mistakes, but I was able to sort of make some wins as well. And part of what I'm up to and part of why I work in education, anything that I've learned, I have to sort of turnkey that and say, okay, I can't be the last person to know this information. I can't have other people learning it the hard way. We've got to make it simpler. We've got to make it easier to understand and sort of shine a light on the pathway to success. And so that's what I'm up to in my life, actually.
Yeah, I mean, your author side is just one piece of the puzzle. You're also an educator. You're on boards. You founded a company, executive director and co-founder of College Beyond. So it's the financial literacy piece is just one part of what you're putting forth into the world.
It really is. And, especially with my journey, going to a place like Harvard, surrounded by folks who later I found out who grew up in poverty and were on the path to making money as a goal. Now we're 20 years out, so I sort of know what it looks like to go and directly into investment banking or directly into corporate law and sort of what the trade-offs are in exchange for the money in terms of time, in terms of your psychological wellness, in terms of your happiness and fulfillment in life, et cetera. So there are choices to be made. I think for me going into education, I wanted to have an impact, but I would say at around 30, I sort of had this wake-up call where I was like, okay, but I'm broke and this isn't working. Either I'm going to have to exit the field altogether, I'm going to have to figure something out. And so that was my own personal journey to figure out how to make more money and still stay in the field and use my skills and my passions, how to manage it better, get out of debt, start saving, start investing, and then how to sort of build this life of freedom. Like, how do I define this for myself? And then how do I set up the financial systems in order to support the lifestyle that I want to have. And so I feel like all of that was something I had to learn the hard way, and I had to capture that whole journey. The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom is that journey. It's my journey from poverty to freedom, but not giving up on my values and not giving up on the things that matter most to me that I want to experience in my life. That's why I wrote that book.
And the other thing we were looking at is right now, I think because we have such extremes in this country of haves and have-nots, and that gap is getting wider, wider, and wider, which historically tends to lead to the end of societies and empires. Another show for another day. But I think that because of that and because of what we're seeing as an emerging oligarchy, that there is a real sentiment, a backlash against this sort of accumulation of wealth. And you shared about a student saying they don't believe in that it's morally right to aggregate $1 million. I wouldn't say that, because you can't even. I mean, in LA, you need $1 million, more than $1 million, to even get a house. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, to buy it outright. But anyway, I do think that nobody needs more than $1 billion.
That's absolutely right.
So what about that? What about the morality of accumulation?
Yeah, I think about that young woman often. I speak to high school and college students, and I think the younger you are, the more the easier it is, of course, to accumulate wealth. But so I love to do sort of a presentation on how do we become a millionaire. And us adults will understand compound interests, and you could take, a couple $100 a month and put that away into an index fund and become a millionaire, right? It's just very simple the younger that you start. And so what I've been up to, because most of us learned about compound interest when we were younger, but it wasn't interesting. It didn't stick at that point, is trying to figure out how do we sort of present the math in ways that are interesting to young people. people. In the Student's Guide to Financial Freedom, I talk about a freedom fund. And so what are some goals you might have for spending money that's not retirement, because that's boring, but maybe it's traveling around the world or spending time learning a language or starting a business? What's something really exciting that's a little ways off that we could start to practice this concept of saving and investing for? And then as you get a little older, maybe your goals shift in the next 5 to 10 years to some longer term goals like retirement or early retirement, things like that, and giving them the skills and the tools. So that's the presentation, right? That's the information. And this young lady just said outright, like, it's unethical. Like, becoming a millionaire is wrong. And I think about her often, because I think so often, because, in our communities, when we don't have access to something, there's this cognitive dissonance that happens. And so we have to feel better. We have to feel good about the situation that we're in. So we create all of these narratives around wealth being bad, rich being bad, money being bad. It helps us feel good about the situation that we're in. So it's just a psychological tool that we have.
But objectively, there's also some really terrible things being done in the name of wealth gathering. The degradation of the planet, money over everything. I'm not saying that accumulating wealth is categorically bad, but I also think there's more than just justifying our own position, because we're looking at people who think that they can have infinite growth. And that's just not, it's just not how life works. I think that the only way you do that is at a certain point by exploiting others.
That is how capitalism works.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so, one of the questions that I have for us, for those of us who either are considering accumulating wealth ourselves, or for young people who maybe want to put themselves on a path, is what would you do differently? So you've had the opportunity now to sit on this side and watch some of these folks tear down the country, ruin the environment, et cetera, with the money that they have. And part of our analysis is to say, okay, right now we're in a system where those who have money have the power to make those kind of decisions. And so if you become one of those people, what would you do differently? I think that's part of the question. And I think we can do both. I think we can critique the system, and I think we can seek to hold people accountable who are making life hard for the rest of us. And I think, part of the moral imperative, and we're seeing some, for example, women who are divorcing from billionaires and all of a sudden giving away money, right? Like the Mackenzie Scotts of the world and Melinda Gates. And so we have some examples of folks who are doing differently with the resources that they have. So then it complicates the narrative a little bit, but I think that's the position that we're in. So let's take a wide view. Let's critique the system, and then let's also figure out what role we want to play in the system. Are we going to dismantle the system? Some people will be in that camp. Are we going to become the person who has the money and changes it from within? And there are sort of all sorts of shades of gray. But I think you being in the driver's seat and you not feeling like a victim, but instead saying, I have some choices, and here are the intentional things I'm going to do with my time and my money to make the world better for myself, for my family, for my community, for the country at large. I think that's the conversation.
Being intentional about it. The other thing, Dr. Paris Woods, is that the other side of that coin is looking at LA, where we're sitting right now having this conversation, and the challenge of the unhoused, right? Because disproportionately they're Black people. Disproportionately they are elders, folks who can no longer afford to pay rent, can't make it on their SSI and Social Security. We don't know what the future holds for Social Security under this administration, or where we're going. And so the flip side of that is there's a lot of real estate between being a billionaire and being able to support yourself through your whole life, right? And, we only have a minute here till news, traffic, and sports, so maybe we'll keep this going on the other side, but maybe you can just tee that up a little bit, because I think that's also part of shifting our mindset, right?
Yeah. There are two sides to the coin. One is from the position of the caretaker, which is often either folks in the sandwich generation who are taking care of kids and taking care of elders, or those of us who become the first in your family to graduate from college, first to make it into the middle class. There is a responsibility that comes with taking care of the folks around you. So we can talk about what that looks like and how to make sure you put your own mask on first before you take care of everybody else, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So that's part of it. And then the other piece is the decisions that we make for those of us who do have parents or who do have children. So So often parents are asking me, how much can I sort of deplete my own resources to take care of this child? And I ask them, consider in 20, 30 years, do you want that child now to have to take care of you, or are you positioning to be able to take care of yourself? And I think that's a question that we have to have parents and sort of those of us in a position to make those sacrifices. It's the same analogy, put your mask on first, but it is in the best interest of that other person because you're helping them out in the longer term.
Dr. Paris Woods is my guest. We've got news, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Governor Ron DeSantis mocked House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries during a Florida press event while responding to Jeffries' warning of maximum warfare over Florida's new Republican-leaning congressional map.
He's like, we're going to do maximum warfare against Republicans, Florida Republicans, you F around, you're going to find out all this stuff. And what I said was, go ahead, make my day.
The exchange stems from a heated national fight over redistricting. A Black Chicago teacher is facing felony charges after prosecutors say she beat and choked a 12-year-old student inside a classroom. Elaine Pierce Collins is accused of aggravated battery and strangulation in the December incident. And Cletus Mack, a member of the pioneering hip-hop group Digital Underground, has died. The group confirms Mack passed suddenly, calling him a vital part of their music family. Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CumminsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers must have been feeling some kind of way when they left town Thursday to fly to Houston for Game 6 Friday night. They packed enough clothes to last for a week. The plan was to fly to Oklahoma City after disposing of the Rockets and not think about returning to LA for a Game 7 on Sunday. The Lakers have been in OKC since Saturday morning to prepare for their Western Conference semifinal matchup with the defending NBA champions. Game 1 is Tuesday night. The extra prep time in OKC might be needed. OKC is already a 15.5-point favorite in Game 1, and they are well rested. OKC has been off since April 27th after sweeping Phoenix in the first round. The Lakers also need some extra time to figure out a game plan to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA averaged 33.7 points against Phoenix. This will be a major upgrade in competition for the Lakers in the next round. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Fred Martin, founder of Compton Kids Club. I just want to talk about the authenticity and tell y'all about my homeboy, Tom Steyer. Tom is a rock star. When I met him, Tom gave a grant to schools in San Francisco. All the kids were on probation. We were flying instructors for 2 years to come and help those kids doing performing arts and turning their life around. Some of the kids that he supported, they've graduated from UCLA. Let's fast forward. Tom is in schools in Compton, hanging out with the kids in the piano classes. Brother Tom Steyer hangs out in the studio with us. These are the seeds that he's planted. This has nothing to do with elections. What's coming out of his mouth is not a campaign speech. It's authentic, and when he say he walks away from a business because he want to do his values, he ain't making that up because he's running for governor. This man is real.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
I need a little ranch, step to the ranch.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. Things are changing fast and no one knows what comes next. Times like these make you realize just how important it is to be prepared. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. They're America's #1 most trusted resource for survival food, solar power, water filtration systems, and more. Go to preparewithamerica.com to unlock a special offer that'll help you get ready for whatever comes our way. Go to preparewithamerica.com to see the special offer right now. That's preparewithamerica.com.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM. Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are, and so excited to have Dr. Paris Woods here. She's an educator. She's an author. We're talking money because that's what the books are about. I feel like I should ask you about education, and certainly there's a Venn diagram spot where these two meet, right? Where we have to figure out how much of our education should include the money conversations. So we'll get to that, but I promised that I would give you a little bit more time to answer about, you said it, people don't care about retirement. It doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't sound fun. It sounds boring and stupid, and most of us assume, we won't ever get there. As Black people, it's easy to say, if I live that long.
Yeah.
I had that conversation with one friend.
Or the kids will take care of me.
Right, and I'm like, but what if you do live that long?
Yeah.
And what if the kids can't take care of you?
And why would you want to sort of saddle this young person with that responsibility?
Right.
It's so tricky because, and this I experienced as well, sort of watching my peers versus sort of the challenges that I had. When young people are meant to be sort of accumulating assets, buying homes, or saving for their own retirement, so many of our community are actually needing to take those resources to pay for supporting the family, supporting aging parents, et cetera, and aren't able to accumulate wealth.
Yeah.
It's another reason why it's another block to our own generational wealth accumulation.
And it is also true that most successful Black people that I know, and when I say success, I'm talking about financial success right now, are paying to help their cousins, their brothers, their sisters. So it's not just the parents, right? It's that you're considered the stable one in your family.
Yeah, you're the one. You're the ticket. The advice I give, I learned from watching Trevor Noah and Oprah have a conversation about this. They're the extreme example because they've got so many resources and have come from poverty, but they talked about setting a budget for family support, and I think that's something any of us can do, especially when you're the one folks count on. Set an amount, create a line item in your budget, and this is the amount I can put towards helping people, and when it's up, you got to say, I'm sorry, I don't have it. Got to wait till next month, got to wait until next year. This is the hard part. These are the boundaries that those of us who then do have the privilege and responsibility of being the folks who've gotten an education or being able to accumulate or earn money, et cetera, there's a responsibility that comes with that of setting boundaries and having tough conversations with family, with friends, right?
And with ourselves.
I
mean, because it's nice to be the hero, but as you said, you can't give from an empty cup. So when are kids supposed to learn this? How much should we force them to read your book or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or, should this be elementary school curriculum? Should it be high school curriculum? At what point and how much?
Yeah. I mean, kids are learning so much when they're younger. Like by around age 9, young people have all sorts of beliefs about their future career, about money, about habits. They're observing and absorbing all the time. And so the earlier we can have conversations about money, the better. So we can start to undo some of the habits that the kids might be soaking up from watching us adults.
I was going to ask you where they get those habits.
Yeah.
Will they see what we do?
They see what we do.
Well, that's scary. But also interesting that they're so opinionated by so young.
Yeah. I think we underestimate how much young folks are able to learn and are learning, and how it's informing their beliefs and then the actions that they take. Age 9 is a really interesting one because so much is happening developmentally. Right around 3rd grade is when we start to sort of see beliefs shift. And those same beliefs are then what are informing the actions that we start taking by 15, 16, when we start earning money. It's actually pretty late to start learning what to do with that money and start setting our perspective about how money works and what the purpose of it is and how to save and how to spend. We actually have been developing those habits by observing for many, many years before then.
Yeah, I remember when my child was around that age, he used to look at the stock market. He didn't get that from me. I don't have stocks. I never learned. I mean, I know what they are, but it was not part of my world. But for some reason, and I think it's because he was around, because he was in private schools where people were checking the stock market. Then when we came back I took him to Ghana when he was 9, and he said, "Are we the 1%?" He said, "Are we the problem, Mama?" Because I think seeing what he saw in Africa gave him a very different perspective. So it's interesting that you would say that those formative opinions happen in that time frame. And you can see someone's entire worldview shift just by being exposed to something different.
I think that's right. I mean, I certainly saw, my mother struggled to make ends meet. And so as soon as we got money, we spent it immediately. Right, because we have sort of like this scarcity mentality resulting in sort of this being very loose with the money that you have. And we gave, so I sort of got to see her be a giver. But as soon as we had the money, it had to leave in one direction or another. And so that was something that I had to unlearn. And it's part of why I love all the behavioral sort of psychology pieces, because if the money is sitting in my checking account, I would spend it. Like I literally would. And, so I think a lot of folks can relate to that. I mean, it's sort of just the reality of how we live. Yeah.
So you provided yourself guardrails.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's rather than trying to yell at yourself or be mad at yourself or practice shame, it's like, well, how can I set myself up to win?
I'm not here for shame. Shame ain't getting us anywhere, right?
Right. Absolutely. Willie wants to know what's the difference between a person using money as a tool and a person being addicted to money.
Yeah. I've got a friend who has a goal to become a billionaire. Makes millions of dollars in his job, and he doesn't enjoy any of it. He's not going on vacation. I'm always like, let's go on vacation. Let's, you should celebrate this new job you just got. But because money is the goal, right, then every action that he's taking is toward that goal. And the problem is you'll never have enough money. When money is the goal, you will never have enough. There's always someone who has more, right? And so that's why I ask folks to shift their focus onto the lifestyle that you want to create. And then all of a sudden we can start to delineate what enough is when it comes to money. And then that is what gives you freedom. So the fewer bills that you have, the fewer things you're paying for or buying to impress other people, the less money you need, right? And a lot of folks, I got really interested in investing from the FIRE movement, the Financial Independence, Retire Early, which are folks who are increasing their savings rates to from 20% at a baseline up to 70% of their take-home pay, putting that money away so that they can accumulate enough that they no longer have to work. And that's the extreme version of saying, okay, what is the enough? What's my target? And then I'm going to sacrifice everything I can for 7 to 10 years is about how long it takes to then never have to work for money again. To me, that's the ultimate freedom. And when I was writing the Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, I thought, as our ancestors' greatest, wildest dreams, like what would that dream be for me as a Black woman in America? And I had to say complete control over my labor and my time. And that's what drew me to this movement. Now, I do work that I enjoy, so I'm not actually wanting to retire from work altogether. But for me, it was retiring from either having to say yes to things I didn't want to deal with disrespect at work, right? There are so many things we accept because we need the money. And if we're in the power position, all of a sudden we actually control our labor and can do things that either bring us joy, that are aligned with our mission in the world, or they just give us a basic modicum of respect. And I think for so many people, that's not the case, right?
It's a really, really different approach. You're right. Because when I look at an Elon Musk and I say, okay, you're the richest man in the world, but you're not satisfied. Not to say that you shouldn't have goals or things you want, but you just want more and 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 more money, even though you can never spend that in 100, 200, 1,000 lifetimes. You couldn't spend that money. So if the goal is, like you said, control of my time and my labor, or if the goal is I want to be able to sail a ship around the world in my 70s or whatever it is, something specific, then that has a specific dollar amount, and it's not infinite expansion or an endless rat race.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And, what I find, and this is why I ask folks to get so clear on the vision, it often costs less than we think.
Really?
We often think, I need to be a millionaire. I need to make $80,000 a month, right? I need to make $1 million a year. And you think about, well, what is it that you want to do with all of this money? And for most of us, we actually just want to enjoy our life. We want to spend time with our family. Maybe we want to get front row tickets to a Beyonce concert. That'll be mine, right? So those are things we could actually price out. And you realize it doesn't cost. You don't have to be a millionaire actually to enjoy the life that you want. And so that's like the really deep work. And it requires then being able to distinguish between what society is telling us we want. Because you think, I want a Bugatti. Where do we even get these words, right? We're watching other people, and they're telling us what it's like to be successful and to accumulate all of these things. And the things actually aren't what bring us happiness, right? It is having purpose, having a life of meaning is the sort of thing I'm spending a lot of time talking to folks about now. And that, comes down to the people that you're around, being able to live into your passion, the things you're enjoying doing, having a why, having a purpose in life. And I've added place. So those are my 4 Ps to a life of meaning. Because I live in New Orleans, and what I've learned, having lived all over the country, is that each of us has a place, has an environment that feeds our soul, that makes us happy, that brings us joy each and every day. And I have found my place. So those are the things I would encourage folks to think about, set goals around. People, purpose, passion, place.
Passion, that's the one I didn't write down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is what adds up to a life of meaning. And money can help you with those things, but money isn't the solution, right? It can be a tool, but there are some other tools you're going to have to develop as well.
Dr. Paris Woods is our guest. I hope you're getting this. I hope you're breathing it in, taking it in. It's a great, great way to start our week. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk. But we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered sent straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
She is the author of The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, The Student's Guide to Financial Freedom. You can find her at LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, all at author Paris Woods. Author Paris Woods. And we might be able to see you speaking somewhere.
Yeah. I'm making the rounds. I'm going to visit some high schools while I'm in LA today. But I would certainly encourage folks. I love talking to high school and college students. It's my favorite time of life. I've spent 20 years working with these young people. And so would love to come and speak to your community.
And we can find you at Paris Woods, at pariswoods.com, or at any social media. I see you've done NerdWallet, Insider, CNN, Yahoo Finance, Black Enterprise, Essence. So folks are catching on. pariswoods.com. One of the things we were saying off mic is that we need to start getting a more comfort level in just even having these conversations.
We do. I find, especially women, we have such community and such good conversation, and we need to insert now money into those community conversations. How much money are we making? What are we saving? What are we investing? What are we purchasing? I think that kind of transparency and openness with information benefits us, but it also benefits our communities because we're the ones raising the kids. We're the ones teaching. We're the educators, right? And so that transparency and information, I think, is so powerful.
It's also, healthy. Stop giving each other the side eye and just being jealous. Girl, how did you do it? How did you do that? How did you make that work?
And telling the truth. I mean, I know we sort of started talking about the real estate pieces, but like me and my friends talk about, okay, you bought that real estate, you held on to it, it actually didn't appreciate, you tried to, it's like, so much of what gets sold to us are the sort of the positive stories and the silver linings of things that really are challenging. And so I think telling the truth empowers us as well. So we don't feel guilty as if something's wrong with me. It's like, no, actually we were sold a lie. Things don't work as easily as we think they do. And so having those conversations, I think, can help eliminate some of the shame.
Yeah, back to your point about, The generational piece, it is true that 70% of the wealth in this country is inherited. So it doesn't mean that there's automatically something wrong with you if you're not rich and you don't have generational wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. But how can we collectively change that future for ourselves and for the kids coming after us?
And you feel very strongly that we can. Kwamel says maybe these folks don't want us to win. Maybe the oligarchs don't want us to be millionaires and billionaires. Does that matter?
I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Listen. As someone from my background, I sort of think about the statistics of what my life should look like. And if I spent my time worrying about them, there's no way I would have even submitted an application to Harvard, because I would have thought, well, they aren't looking for kids like me. There's no reason I would have done any of the things I've done in my life. So if that's holding you back, I would say so. So my mother would have some different words with her preacher self. But, it's like what we focus on, and this is some of the woo-woo, what we focus on expands. But I have to say, I love using my mind to solve problems. And so what I'm going to focus on are the things I want to create and generate in my life, and not be worried about what person over there is doing and what they think about me. Like, I literally don't care.
Yeah, I think that's a really good and important point. And also, it's also the woo-woo part that isn't woo-woo is that's what you're spending your time on, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Miss Shabazz, the eldest daughter of Malcolm X, said to me one day, long time ago, is that we have to each define our own parameters of success, not the Bugatti. Mm-hmm. What would you consider successful, and then how do you get there? And it sounds like that's kind of your philosophy from a financial standpoint.
It is. I mean, I think we're constantly having new experiences, and the thing maybe you thought was going to make you feel successful may not. And so part of it is taking the action, having experiences, and then having that sort of self-reflective moment to say, okay, I finally, like, I drive a Benz, and how does that make me feel? Like, okay, I love this. I bought this nice house. I don't love that. I took the trip. This was cool. Beyonce was great. Maybe, it's like, these are the types of, like, real conversations we need to have with ourselves, because if you listen to society, they'll tell you all those things will make us happy, and it's up to you to actually start to evaluate, okay, what actually makes me happy? Like, internally, what is bringing me purpose and satisfaction in life? And so often it's not the things that cost $1 million. It's probably having a conversation with someone you love, right? Or watching a sunset. Like, those intangibles are the things that actually make us feel good on a daily basis.
I feel like social media has got us even more on the keeping up with the Joneses thing, where it's easy to pursue things that are not necessarily in our best interests. And your information, your outlook is a breath of fresh air. If we wanted to get you to come speak to kids at college or high school or a club, we could reach out through the website.
Absolutely. ParisWoods.com/partnerships is a great place for schools and programs to look into booking me to speak.
And we're never too young.
Never too young. Never too young. I have a youthful, joyful countenance, and so somehow young people like me. So I'm happy to talk to them.
That's a special kind of blessing. Yeah, I call it the Bernie Sanders effect. I think I have it too. You can be over 18 and they still like you. I think it comes from not, from being willing to speak the truth. Mm-hmm. And it's been really a pleasure talking with you. I hope folks will pick up the books if they don't have them already. The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, The Student's Guide to Financial Freedom. I'm looking at your Instagram. It says 3 accounts you need to have by 18. And, if you have kids under 18, maybe check in and see what those are.
Yeah, you can follow me on social. Tell the kids to follow me on social. That's another way to get as many avenues as we can to get this information to young people. I'm working it.
To young people and to the old heads as well. Dr. Paris Woods, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
pleasure.
Can't wait to crack those books. Look, we always need more information and different approaches. Happy to be back. I hope you'll tap in with me on socials. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio everywhere, even on YouTube. The station is at KBLA 1580. And if you have not been keeping up with the election interviews, they are all on YouTube, okay? You can go back, and we've got a bunch of them coming up this week and next week. But the ones that we've already done, Me and James Farr, they're on YouTube. You can go back, review, and you will have no excuse for not making good choices. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's live and in person, too. He's got a great show, a jam-packed show for you. You do not want to miss it, okay? And we have an amazing week ahead. Like my mama, the late, great poet laureate of San Francisco, Diane DePrima, used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we are making it together. And don't forget to tap in with me tomorrow. We have 1, 2, 3 judicial candidates, and my girl Jasmine Canick will be here. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Governor Ron DeSantis mocked House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries during a Florida press event while responding to Jeffries' warning of maximum warfare over Florida's new Republican-leaning congressional map.
He's like, we gonna do maximum warfare against Republicans, Florida Republicans, you F around, you gonna find out all this stuff. And what I said was, go ahead, make my day.
The exchange stems from a heated national fight over redistricting. A Black Chicago teacher is facing felony charges after prosecutors say she beat and choked a 12-year-old student inside a classroom. Elaine Pierce Collins is accused of aggravated battery and strangulation in the December incident. And Cletus Mack, a member of the pioneering hip-hop group Digital Underground, has died. The group confirms Mack passed suddenly, calling him a vital part of their music family. Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall